What this woman coughed up wasn't just mucus or a bit of food, it was a worm. Yes, a living, wriggling, parasitic worm. But the real horror wasn't in her throat. What she didn't know yet was that her intestines had become the breeding ground for these unwelcome guests, and her body was in a full-scale battle against an infestation she couldn't see. To understand what happened, let's rewind. The culprit in this story was a parasitic roundworm known as Ascaris lumbricoides. It's one of the most common parasitic infections globally, affecting millions, particularly in areas with poor sanitation. But don't think you're off the hook if you live in a developed country. These worms can strike anywhere if the conditions are right. They enter the body in the sneakiest of ways, often through contaminated food, water, or even soil. Here's the kicker: when you ingest the microscopic eggs of these worms, they don't just hatch and stay put in your intestines like regular parasites. No, they have a far more elaborate and horrifying plan. Once the eggs hatch, the larvae embark on a journey that would put any action hero to shame. They break through the walls of your intestines and hitch a ride in your bloodstream, traveling to one of the most unexpected places, your lungs. Now you might be wondering, why the lungs? Aren't they supposed to stay in the digestive system? Well, the roundworms are on a mission to mature, and for reasons not entirely understood, their life cycle requires this detour. Once they reach the lungs, they cause irritation, inflammation, and you guessed it, coughing. This is where things took a turn for our unfortunate protagonist. As the worms settled into her lungs, her body began to react violently. The coughing wasn't just a symptom, it was her body's way of trying to expel these invaders. But here's where the situation gets even more disturbing. Instead of coughing them out entirely, the larvae often hitch a ride up the throat, only to be swallowed back down into the digestive system. It's like the worst game of snakes and ladders you could ever imagine. Once the larvae make their way back to the intestines, they're ready for the main event, growing into full-sized adult worms. And we're not talking small worms here. Adult Ascaris lumbricoides can grow up to 14 inches long and live for up to 2 years inside the intestines. They feed on the nutrients in your digestive tract, essentially stealing your food and leaving you malnourished, fatigued, and sometimes anemic. For this woman, the signs had been there for a while. She'd experienced unexplained stomach cramps, fatigue, and occasional nausea after meals. But like many people, she'd brushed them off as minor inconveniences until the day she coughed up a worm. The medical team quickly confirmed what was happening through a stool sample and imaging tests. The diagnosis? A severe roundworm infestation. The treatment was straightforward but unsettling anti-parasitic medication to kill the worms and flush them out of her system. The aftermath, however, wasn't just physical. Knowing that these creatures had been living inside her, moving through her body, and thriving in her intestines, left her shaken for weeks. But what exactly does this tell us about our relationship with these parasites? Roundworms are a global health issue, especially in areas with limited access to clean water and proper sanitation. However, they're also a reminder of how vulnerable our bodies can be when we let our guard down. Let's talk about prevention because, as terrifying as this story is, it's avoidable. First and foremost, hygiene is your best defense. Wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water, especially before meals and after using the restroom. If you're handling raw fruits and vegetables, make sure to wash them properly. Many of these worms' eggs can cling to the surface of produce. And if you're traveling to regions where sanitation is a concern, stick to bottled water and avoid raw or undercooked foods. But what about the science of these parasites? Here's where it gets fascinating. Despite their horrifying nature, roundworms are an evolutionary marvel. Their ability to navigate the human body, survive harsh conditions, and reproduce efficiently is nothing short of impressive. Researchers have even studied them for insights into how parasites manipulate their hosts' immune systems. In some cases, low-level infections can go unnoticed for years as the body learns to coexist with the worms. But in severe cases, like this one, the damage is unmistakable. Malnutrition, intestinal blockages, and severe inflammation are just some of the complications that can arise. And let's not forget the psychological toll. Knowing that something is crawling inside you is enough to give anyone sleepless nights. In the end, this woman's story is a cautionary tale about paying attention to the signals